I forgot I was doing this with my mum on a Friday morning.
You heard that. If you hate East Kilbride, get down to Dumbarton by 1:58 tomorrow and go treat yourself. Yes, hello and welcome. The split kicks off. You either love it or hate it, and it's going to be a brilliant few weeks for the rest of Scottish football. We're joined by two great guests. We've got Scott Allan, midfielder for Scott. I'm not going to bother naming the clubs. It's only a 25-minute podcast. Scott, for you, East Kilbride, big game tomorrow. Do you think you're going to get it over the line tomorrow? Do you think it's going to go down to the wire?
We have to win. I really do. But we have to win. Elgin away at Spartan, so we just need to take care of our own business. But there's no getting away from it. A lot of pressure on it.
Yeah,
and it's felt like that.
I saw Frank McKeown got manager of the month and signed a new deal, so that's usually a curse. So surely usually a shoe in.
And they're letting everybody in for free before 2 o'clock. So
you heard that. If you hate East Kilbride, get down to Dumbarton by 1:58 tomorrow and go treat yourself. We're also joined by Andy Halliday, midfielder of Hearts, Rangers, now at Motherwell. Andy, what game are you excited for this weekend?
I mean, I'm not even going to bore anyone because, like you said, it's only a 25-minute podcast. How many ramifications are on the top flight? So, some huge games. I look at the top three teams in Hearts, Rangers and Celtic. They've all got different types of challenges this weekend. But if I'm edging towards any, it's got to be that Edinburgh derby because, like you said, for me, it's the biggest Edinburgh derby, or certainly league game Edinburgh derby there's been in my lifetime.
Yeah, it's great for you as well as a former player of lots of clubs doing well this season. Media appearance, you must be minted by the end of this season.
I'm flying. Motherwell in the top 4, Hearts in the top 4, Rangers in the top 4.
If only you did a wee youth career at Celtic back in the day, that would have kicked you off. Right, let's start Easter Road with what is a mouth-watering derby. Hearts, there's no room for error. Hibs don't just want to derail the title bid for Hearts. They need to qualify for Europe via the league. Scott, talk us through this game. Someone said this week that this game is red cards written all over it. What do you think?
Red cards written all? Yeah, and the antidote to that would be David Gale saying you need to play the game, not the occasion. One of the biggest cliches in football. Listen, there's no getting away from how important this game is to both sets of fans. For Hibs, it's their chance to derail Hearts' title challenge. I think it kind of speaks for itself. It's probably Hibs fans' biggest fear, and if I think they've both won the same a number of titles in their history, so if Hearts were to pull away with one more, you couldn't really see Hibs ever getting that back. So I think they know what's at stake. And then the actual football side of it, Hibs are obviously putting pressure on Motherwell now. Motherwell obviously with a difficult game against Rangers, so if they were to slip up there, give Hibs a huge boost if they can be right on the tails of Motherwell. But there's no getting away from it. It's a really difficult game for Hearts. You add the pressure alongside the derby game. I just think it's got so much jeopardy in it.
Andy, when you look at these two teams, like you've played from Derby, played the Edinburgh Derby, is there any home advantage in these games? Like Hearts have a great record at Easter Road, but how was it when you played in them?
I think I don't know how many Edinburgh derbies I played exactly, but I'd only lost one, and it was my very last one at Easter Road. Kevin Nisbet scored. We lost 1-0. I think the atmosphere is amazing in both grounds. And listen, if the game that we've seen before at Easter Road's end, they go by, we're in for an absolute classic because the opening 60 minutes, Hibs were outstanding, go 3-0 up. But I do think a big moment in that game was Josh Mulligan going off, because one thing I do think Hearts have in abundance, I think Hearts have a lot of combative midfielders. I think they play with a lot of energy, a lot of athleticism. I think Josh Mulligan's really key to kind of combat that for the Hibs side. So I think Josh Mulligan will be a huge miss for Hibs. But like Scotty says, Hibs have been extremely competitive all season. They've actually accumulated more points this year than they did last year when they finished third. So, I mean, it's the game that I think a lot of eyes will be on Sunday. And I must admit, I'm just chomping at the bit to watch it. I can't wait.
Meanwhile, the chasing Celtic and Rangers face their own tests. So, Scott, again, big games here. Motherwell and Falkirk. I mean, Andy, is it harsh to say Motherwell not been in good form recently? Is the season caught up with your team, do you think?
Well, I think it's fair to say in terms of results, of course, we've not won in 5. But I remember talking about it at the very start of the season when we never really started the season particularly well. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was only 1 win in maybe the first 5 or 6 games. But while looking at the performance levels and while looking at a lot of points you probably should have picked up in that run, and I think that kind of gives you a positive that you're on the right trajectory, you're playing the right way, and you feel like if you perform at that level, results are going to come. And I think over the last 5 games, other than that Falkirk game at home, where I thought Falkirk thoroughly deserved to win the game, I still think we've been really good in large parts of the game.
Yeah, and Scott, for you, like, Falkirk will need to bounce back after last Saturday. I think I've said on here, one of the worst games I've watched in a while, that Scottish Cup semi-final. Oh man, see when it went to extra time, I think half of us are greeting. How do you think John McGlynn's side are going to bounce back?
Well, I think out of all the games, it's probably the most difficult one at this moment in time. I think, as you said, that Falkirk Dunfermline game was really poor. I think, from considering all the promise it showed, you were expecting Falkirk just to continue the kind of season they've had, and that would be part of the journey under John McGlynn. And forget about the result, the performance was as bad as you've probably seen Falkirk throughout the season. Best players just didn't turn up on the day. And then when it gets to penalties, it's a lottery, isn't it? So difficult game for them away to Celtic. At the same time, you watch Celtic again last week and just can't manage to string a 90-minute performance together. First half, I thought they were strong for maybe opening 35 minutes up until Donnelly had that header from the corner, and then second half, to add into context, a 17-year-old goalkeeper hardly had to make a save in the second half for St Mirren. And I know they did change how they played. In the first half, they went a bit direct, started seeing things where they could get the two strikers involved and got themselves up the pitch and then played in the right areas. But for me, performance levels was just, it's very strange to see.
Let's have a word about two kind of long-standing players. Obviously, it's the BBC, so we have to have one former Rangers, one former Celtic player, so it works lovely, so we can go both ways. Andy, first up, James Tavernier obviously announced leaving the club this week. I've always had a soft spot for him because I've spotted him in my local chippy a few times, so it just means the guy's a class guy. Do you think Rangers are going to be able to give him the send-off that he deserves after, 11 years of service?
I think they'll certainly be hoping so. I think there's no better way to end an 11-year career at Rangers than by obviously lifting the trophy as a captain at the end of the season. I'm sure Hearts and Celtic will have lots to say about that, but it's always really surprised me how kind of split the Rangers fans' opinion over James Tavernier. Over the 11 years, he's arguably been the best player in the majority of these seasons. And I feel as if you had more James Taverniers in these seasons, Rangers would have won a lot more trophies than they did. The fact of the matter is, I feel as if he's all more critiqued due to team success rather than what he's been like as a player. But he's been an incredible servant, over 550 games, 150 goals as a right back. I mean, take the club to Europa League final as captain, finishing Europa League as top goal scorer in the tournament. I think the amount of individual accolades that James Tavernier has had, you can go on. Obviously, the real kind of negative for him is the fact that he feels as if, as a captain, he's probably not won enough at Rangers. But like I says, I think Celtic being so strong has had a lot to say about that. Rangers not be has had some plenty to say as well. And the mad thing is, in a season where he's deemed as the second choice right back and not been a great season for him, he's got 20 goal contributions. I think in 5 years' time, when you look back at what he done at Rangers, then you'll really start to see a lot of positive messages about him.
So if you look at the other side, I've got a new BBC Sports Scotland football YouTube show. So every Monday night, 6 till 7, we chat to fans from all around about what's happening. So it's called This Is Fans Only. You can get it on YouTube. We spoke to a Celtic fan the other day who's 25 and said he's never known a life without James Forrest, ever. If you think about that, that is mad. He's just signed for his 18th season. You played from Scott. What's he like? Can he hit 20 seasons, do you think?
That's a good question. He just always seems to bloom come the end of the season, doesn't he? Produces a huge moment in big games, and I think when you look at a James Forrest, a player who came, me and Andrew both played against him when we were 10. Andrew was at Rangers, James was at Celtic, I was at Dundee.
I believe you just called me Andrew.
That's what I thought as well.
Sorry, mate.
Sunday name.
I
forgot I was doing this with my mum on a Friday morning.
So James Forrest.
Back to James Forrest. I just think when you come through all the way through the Celtic Academy and then the amount of seasons that he's he's tallied there at Celtic. It's just a credit to himself. It's not an easy thing to have that longevity, especially at a club at Celtic and Rangers for that matter. But I just think he's got that special trait. He's a proper old school winger. You give him the ball and he'll be direct. It's exactly what you see when he comes on the pitch at the weekend. He squares his guy up, he hits the byline, and he's got end product. And he's added that to his game in the last kind of 6 years. And it's not too dissimilar to James Tavernier at times. There's been lots of times where Celtic fans have been wondering if it's time to move on. But James Forrest just keeps producing the good. Year on year for Celtic, big moments. That's what his kind of career's been judged on. And he done it again last week. So I just think it's important to have someone who kind of knows the DNA of the club to be in that changing room. And he's not a massive personality, is James Forrest, but he just goes about his business in a real professional way. And first and foremost, he's a fantastic footballer.
Rapid fire prediction questions. No waffle, just one answer questions from both of you. Okay, all of Scottish football. Let's go, Andy. What tie is going to be the coupon buster this weekend?
Dundee United.
Okay. Scott, which game is it going to kick off?
Hibs Hearts.
This is for both of you. Andy, what team's going to be top of the league on Sunday night?
Hearts.
Scott?
Hearts.
Which team, for both of you again, which team is favourites for the playoff, for the relegation playoff on Sunday night, Scott?
Kelly.
Andy?
On Sunday night, I've got to go Kelly as well.
And finally, what player, who is going to be making the headlines this weekend, Andy?
James Forrest.
Scott?
Laurie Shankland.
By the way, that is the most serious I've ever seen either of you two. Both of you were like head and hands at one point. That was great.